It's so interesting hearing your perspective, because you've got that HR background and then you've gone into this compensation area as well, and it's all extricably linked, but it's also linked across so many areas of any business. And then you've even gone even more niche and gone into sort of startup, foundation type organizations. Just like a last bit about that, I suppose, my question there. You talk about, idealistic or not being too idealistic, and balancing that with the commercial side, balancing that with the practical side. A lot of HR professionals talk about that return on investment, and not necessarily just on financials, but it's visible in some respect. The return on investment is visible. From your perspective, how do you try and put that over with organizations, especially who are at that sort of startup phase or really early on in their journey? And you've got staff that are different ranges of experience. How do you push out that return on investment? How do you make that visual or make sense, I suppose, to those organizations?
Yeah, it's a good question. There's a couple of ways I think it shows up, especially with a compensation lens. So one of the most common things I'll see, especially in a startup environment, is that it's not just title inflation, but often they've gone crazy with salaries. They're either overpaying someone, they're underpaying someone, whatever it is, right? Like you're introducing structure where previously structure did not exist, and so it highlights all of these disparities. So there's two ways in which I think there's an ROI from that perspective. One is that left unchecked, they were going to inadvertently be overpaying people in other roles in the future. And I mean, now that's not quantifiable. You can't ever go, well, you would have paid this next role an extra 20. But it puts a stop to that behavior from continuing. And I think, you're certainly going to make friends out of finance if you can sit down and say, well, here's what this role should cost in the future. And they can start to forecast that with their workforce plan and things like that. So I think there's a real benefit there. And I think, an easy way to quantify that is how many people do we have that are overpaid and how much are they overpaid by? And here's what saving we could have had 12 months ago if we had implemented these sorts of systems and structures. But so it's not I wouldn't say it's a direct ROI, but it gives you an idea of like how that would have worked.